Welcome to Intermediate Video number 2. In this video, we will learn how to implement the open-ended feature of the Nearpod application. As always, when adding a new slide, we are going to click on the Add icon, and then we're going to add an activity. The activity we're going to add, as I mentioned, is the open-ended question. This is pretty simple in terms of setting it up, but there's a lot that you can do with the open-ended question. If you are going to implement an image, as we mentioned earlier, you can click on the Add Image button and then add an image there if you would like the students to refer to something while they're responding to their open-ended question, then you can include that. But otherwise, simply type in the question that you would like your students to respond to in the box. In my open-ended question, I would like my students to compare and contrast regular and irregular polygons. In this case, I'm not going to include an image because I want them to be able to describe the features and the characteristics of the regular and irregular polygons on their own. So when you're finished coming up with your open-ended question, you're going to click Save, as always. And as it appears at the end of your presentation, if you would like it to go anywhere else in your presentation, simply click and drag it to where you would like for it to go. In this case, I'm going to leave mine where it is, but I'm also going to create a second open-ended question. So I'm going to add another open-ended question to my presentation. In the second open-ended question, I want my students to be able to explain why a square is always a rhombus, but a rhombus isn't always a square. So in this example, I am going to include an image, so I'm going to click on Add Image, and then browse my computer files, and upload the file that I have previously saved to my computer. Again, you can also import something from Dropbox or Box, or if you have your file open on your computer, you can drag it right in this space right here. So we'll click Save, and again that will add to my presentation at the end so that I can begin to implement this lesson with my students. I'm going to click, and then of course we can't forget to publish our new presentation, and since I edit it, we have to publish it so that you have the most recent version that you're going to use with your students. So we're going to publish it and then click on the Engage at the top, and then here we have our presentation that we can begin. So again, we always have the option to send this as an email for homework if a student is absent, but we're going to use the live session so we can see what the students are seeing. Okay, once again, the students will have to put in a pin at the beginning of the lesson, and since I edited it, we have a new pin number again. So let's take a look at what we will see as the students are entering their open-ended responses. Once you get to the portion in the lesson that students are required to enter their open-ended response, you will see this screen while you're waiting for students to enter their responses. On the left-hand side, where you see Student A, this will have a list of all of your students in your classroom, and as they answer them, you will be able to see that they've responded, and then you can also see who still has yet to respond. So if you seem to be waiting for one student for a significantly long period of time, that might indicate that student needs some help, and if that student hasn't been able to answer the question, then you can go and help the student and see what their needs are. So until the students respond, this is what your screen will look like. Once the students start to respond, you can see their responses here next to their names. And again, if you find one that you would like everyone to see, you can share it with the students. And if you find one that maybe is an incorrect response, you can also share with the students. And what I like to do is ask them to determine what is wrong about the response. Now, the students don't know whose response you're sharing, so it is a safe way for the students to remain anonymous while you use this as a learning opportunity. Now let's take a look at the student view of the open-ended response question. This is the student view of the open-ended response question. You can see there's not options for editing their text in terms of font and size and paragraph and spacing. However, there is just the option for the students to type their response and submit their response. The student has the option to reread their response before submitting it. When they are ready, they may click Submit. And again, as we talked about in the beginner videos, the student is at this point not able to move on until the teacher allows the students to move on. Once again, if the teacher finds that there is a specific response that he or she would like everyone to read, then we can share that response with everyone, and this is what that would look like for the students. In my second open-ended response question, if you recall, we did include an image, so you can see where that image will come up in the student's view of the open-ended response. Now that our students have submitted both open-ended response questions, we can go back into the teacher's view and see the results and what they look like. In the next intermediate video, we will discuss how to use the data from your Nearpod lessons to assess students and assess yourself and your own teaching.